Hello everyone. Well, it's our tutorial time, Tuesday tutorial for us. And today's song is, to my mind, the best of Chas and Dave's songs. It's There Ain't No Pleasing You. Please forgive the occasional grammatical imperfection in the lyrics, but they're Cockneys for goodness sake, so get over it. Also, a couple of days ago marked 2 years since Jas Hodges passed away, so this is our celebration of his life too. I think it's a great song. There ain't no pleasing you. Oh crikey, my second, no. The thing that you need to know about this song, the first thing is that it is in a fairly unusual time signature. It's in 12/8 time. And what that means is that when you count it in as 1, 2, 3, 4, but each of those 4 beats has a group of 3 third of a beats, quavers, but third of a beats on each of them. So instead of there being 4 beats in the bar, there are actually 12 mini beats which consist of 4 groups of 3. Does that make sense? I'll illustrate it by just playing that on a C chord, right? You've got your ordinary 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. Okay? And the way I achieve that strumming pattern is down, up, down, down, up, down. So it's a group of a down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, and with the emphasis on the first and third of those. Now, however you choose to do it, some people will play the triple strum. If that's what you want to do, go for it. But I find it easier and more. I can get the emphasis in the right place if I play it as. So that's the key, the time signature. As far as key signature goes, this one's in the key of C, which is nice. Now, the introduction carries the same chord progression as the verse and also the instrumental passage at the end. It's almost exactly the same, and it's very clever because it actually consists, or the first half of it consists of a run down a C major scale. So it goes C, B, A, G, F and down as far as E. But it does it in a rather clever way which conceals that run in some interesting chords. To do that run in the right time ratio, it's like this. Like that. So it's just a plain run down a C major scale. So the first note in there is a C, which of course is going to be your 3rd fret of the first string. You can play it in the first position, C, like that, but it's a lot easier if you play it in the 2nd position, which is 5, 4, 3, 3. Now I play it with a half bar, which is my index finger just flattened across 1 and 2. Pam plays it as a full 4-string bar with her index finger flattened across all 4 strings, and so she double frets the 3rd and 4th string at 4 and 5 respectively, but I just play it as a half bar. Whichever way you do it, it's so much easier to play this opening C chord that way because the chord that follows it is a B major chord, which is simply that whole shape slid down 1 fret, whether you're doing it as a half bar or a full bar. And the chord that follows that is a B7th. Now, the way I'm doing it, if it was a half bar, B, And all you need to do then is to lift the index finger off the first string, so the first string is open. So the B7th shape, 4-3-2-0. Pam uses the other B7th shape, which is the full bar chord, which is 2-3-2-2, where the 7th note is actually on the G string, the left. Whichever way you choose, those are some of the options that are available to you. So it goes from B7th. The next note in the melody that we're going to is, or in that C major scale, is a G note. Now we can find that on my low G. The best way to do that is to play the following C chord as a C5, which is, instead of 0-0-0-3, 0-0-3-3. So we've got... Now we need an F note. And the way we do an F note is on an A7th augmented chord. Don't be frightened of the name, it's very simple, it's 0-1-1-0. And I play it by flattening my index finger across strings 2 and 3 at the first fret.
I use 2 fingers.
Pam uses 2 fingers plus her fingertips are a bit smaller than mine. But there we go. And then again, whichever way you do it, you just lift off to get to the A7th, which is 0-1-0-0 in this context. So let's just run through that first line again. It's 1, C, B, B7, C5, A7 augmented. Lovely, lovely run of chords. And then the second half of the introduction and the verse is a D7. The D7 closed position, 2-2-2-3, seems to work better here. And then to a G7, and C, G, then G augmented. Okay, now that's one we've come across before, isn't it? Go from G to a G augmented, play your ordinary G chord, and then the way I do it is just to move my ring finger over onto the third string and drop my little finger into the space at the third fret of the second string that my ring finger has just vacated. Pam does it differently. Pam flattens it. She flattens her ring finger across strings 2 and 3. So whichever way works for you. I've shown the chord at the end of the verse as going from a G7th to a G augmented, where in the intro it's a G major to a G augmented. The reason I've done that is just to demonstrate really that where a chord chart or a chord song sheet calls for a 7th chord, you can always play the root chord. So if some of you play the 7th and some of you play the root, it doesn't matter. You might find it easier to play the plain G major chord to get to the augmented, whereas to go from the G7th to the G augmented might be a little bit of a bit of a faff. So either way, it's up to you. And as predicted, my ukulele has gone out of tune again. I knew it would.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, let's just make a cup of tea or something. Close enough.
Right.
Close enough for Rockney. Okay, so that pretty much covers the verse. It's very much the same chord progression as the introduction. That's for the first verse. So we've got that G augmented at the end of the first verse, which carries on then to the second verse, same as the first. And when we get to the end of the second verse, we're going into the bridge, the middle 8. So what we need to think about there is we're not going back to a C. So at the end of the second verse, we do a little turnaround to go into the key of F, which is the first line of the bridge. So the second line the last line of the second verse goes, oh darling, there ain't no pleasing you, C, F, C, C7. Right, you're going into a C7 chord because that's the leading chord into an F. Right, now C7, various ways of playing it. You can play a basic first position 0, 0, 1, finger 1, fret 1, string 1, or you can play it a different way, and I like the sound of 3, 0, 0, 3 for a C7th in this context. You only had to say the word and you knew I don't, and because you've got quite a long run on a C7th chord there, it might be nice for some of you just to embellish that C7th chord a little bit by rocking your index finger on and off the second fret of the third string, the D note. So we're going, which in this particular rhythm, that rocking sound also works very well. And you can continue that rocking C note to D note on the third string when you resolve to the F chord, because you can then use your ring finger to drop down onto the second fret of the third string. So the effect we get is which is nice. You might think that you'll do that once on the middle eight, because that middle eight bridge passage is repeated, so you might do it on one of them but not on the other. And if I can quote the great Andy Eastwood, he is all in favour of doing the more fancy stuff second time round and keep it more simple the first time round, so that might be something to consider too. Right. So we're in the bridge passage now, and it's C7th and F chords for the first two lines, and then it nips up into B flat for sort of half a line really. So we've got your standard way of playing B flat. Pam uses a 4-string bar on the first fret, so we're 3, 2, 1, 1. I tend again to use the half bar, index finger just flattened across strings 1 and 2 for a B flat, like that. So the third line of the bridge is going from a B flat to an F, well and good, back to a B flat, and then to a D7. Now here's something you might consider. Instead of playing a B flat there, why not go up to the 5th fret, the 4-string bar, and play an F shape up there? So you're playing 7, 5, 6, 5. And that's another B flat. Now to get from the B flat to a D7th up there, all you need to do is to lift your ring finger out of the way and move your middle finger over from the 2nd to the 3rd string at the 6th fret, and lo and behold, you have another D7th chord. Isn't that interesting? So I'll do that again. B flat, which is just a nice different voicing of that particular chord change. And then the last line of the bridge is you go resolving into a G from the D7. And then back to a G, and then a G7 that wants to resolve to a C, and it does. So that's pretty much it really. There are several repeats of the lyric. There are actually 4 different verses, and they're repeated a time or two. The bridge is repeated, and the only thing that's different is the final verse, which has a little bit of a variation right at the very end. because it goes, let's just run through that last verse, shall we?
Yeah.
It goes, now, if you think I don't know what I say and I'm only bluffing, you got another thing coming, I'm telling you that for nothing. 'Cause darling, I'm a-leaving. Pause on a G7. That's what I'm gonna, and then another pause, do. And then the instrumental outro, if you like, is exactly the same as the intro, except that it finishes on a perfect cadence, a CFC. Like that. And when you get to that very last line, that "'cause darling I'm leaving," that phrase is on a D7th chord. Now if you play the open D7, 2020, you can drop your little finger on and off the first string, 3rd fret and then open, which echoes the melody. Darling, I'm leaving. That's what I'm gonna do. And the other thing about that is that doing that triple, might be a little bit over the top under the vocal. It might be a bit too heavy because the words are quite important. But at the beginning and the end, where you have those instrumental passages, that's when the triple strumming can really come into its own and gives the whole thing, it builds up to a climax right at the end there. So, I think that's about it, isn't it?
I think so.
Have I forgotten anything?
No.
Well, that's it. If there's anything that isn't clear to you, obviously, let us know. We will be posting this any minute now, and the play-along version will be posted on Sunday. But in the meantime, you look out for our comic song, our Friday morning frolics. Those will be going out this Friday, and it's another music hall song this week that you may or may not know. So that's something to look forward to, isn't it? And so we will go on for the foreseeable future. So, well, that's it about it from us.
Yep, it is.
So until we meet again, you know what to do. Stay safe, be nice to yourselves, and be kind to each other. So it's goodbye from us.
Bye.
Bye-bye.